Should I start, sir?
Wait for just a minute, sir. Where are you stationed now, sir? You're talking from
I am talking from Mumbai this time.
Mumbai.
Yes, yes.
Why Mumbai?
Yeah, I have come to my son, sir, here.
Good.
Yes, yes. For the last couple of days, I am here.
Okay.
I will remain for 10-15 days.
Then you'll go to?
I will go again to Panipat.
Okay. Okay, participants, Raina ji is from Panipat. He is now in Mumbai. Please listen to him. Over to Raina ji for the session.
Thank you, Ajay, sir. Uh, uh, Welcome all dear colleagues and friends. I hope all of you are listening to me. Is it okay, sir? All of you are listening?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. Welcome. As already Ajay sir has told you that this is a course which are doing as a crash course. I have already discussed in detail for the last time, but now since it is a crash course, we will be putting questions and thereafter we will be discussing these questions also, so that you are recapitulating the things for the current examination. So for this retail banking is concerned, friends, I will just take 1 or 2 minutes to give you a recapitulation that retail banking deals with as per syllabus. It contains the role within the bank operations. It gives concepts of retail and corporate wholesale banking, then retail products in which just different customer requirements and important retail products are discussed. Then there is marketing in retail banking, different marketing and technology in retail banking that will be discussed. Then there are other issues related to retail banking, that is recovery of retail loans, securitization and other financial services. So all these things will be discussed and I have tried to capture the questions from each and every topic so that at least we are able to have an insight into the syllabus. So friends, let us start. There are four questions on the screen. The first question, I think visible to all. Which one of the following is wrong
No,
in
sir,
retail
screen is
banking?
not visible.
Sir, you have not shared the screen, sir.
Okay, I will share the screen. I am sharing the screen.
Yeah, please.
Okay, is it visible, sir?
It's coming now. It's coming now.
Okay. So friends, first question is, which one of the following is wrong in retail banking? You see, the first answer is
Raina ji,
yes.
to give a background, in this we have students who have attended our regular session,
Okay.
and also those who have joined straight for the crash course.
Okay.
Okay. So that's
Okay,
a
sir.
mix of students.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. So friends, you see there are client base, which one of the following is wrong in retail banking? So all of you are going through the retail banking. First reply is client base will be large and therefore risk is spread across the customer base. There is less volatility in demand and credit cycle as compared to large corporate. Lower delinquencies, especially in unsecured retail loans and credit cards. Rapid evolution of products can lead to IT complications, especially if available IT systems are not sufficiently robust. So I think you are judging, all of you may be judging the reply. So can anyone reply? What can be the probable answer? Please.
Answer C, sir.
It is C. Yes, it is C,
C,
because
C.
yes, it is C. Choice is C. C is correct because this is wrong in retail banking. Lower delinquencies, especially in unsecured retail loans, is not correct because delinquencies occur in unsecured retail loans. So this is the answer, right answer. I think Guru Raja has said this answer. Let us move for the second one, second question. Which of the following is true? Private sector banks adopt departmental approach in their retail banking business module. Public sector banks adopt strategic business approach as their retail banking business module. Both A and B are correct. Neither A nor B is correct. Yes, please reply. Anyone? Friends, anyone can reply?
Answer D.
Which one? D.
Yes, sir.
Hello? Second answer D. Neither A nor B. You are saying that this is the answer? But friends, you see, neither A nor B is correct. It is true answer, because the private sector banks are adopting strategic business actually, and public sector banks are adopting departmental approach. So when you go through the approaches of retail banking operations, the public sector are adopting departmental approach, whereas private sector banks are adopting strategic business approach. So neither A nor B is correct. So question number 2 is having the right answer as D. So anybody who can say strategic business, I will tell you. Basically, strategic business means they focus mainly, their main aim is for that business. Over public sector banks are concerned, they are not taking it as strategic business, they are taking it as a departmental approach. But private sector banks are taking it as a main business. That's why strategic business is concerned with private sector banks. Third question is, business process structure in retail banking comprises of following. In our detailed sessions, we have already discussed that the structure in retail banking comprises of horizontally organized module, vertically organized module, then predominantly horizontal organized module, and predominantly vertically organized module. These are the 4 modules which are in retail banking. So I have given the choices which of the following above chart is true. So A, B, C, and D. First one is horizontally organized module is a modular structure using different processes models for different products, offering end-to-end solution product-wise. Focus is product-wise in horizontal organized module. In vertically organized module, the focus is customer-wise data. In the predominantly horizontal organized module, the focus is although product oriented but common customer information. In predominantly vertically organized module, customer wise information is available, but the information is common for most of the products. So which one of the following above is true? Because this question is very important and generally it is put in the examination. So friends, you may be thinking the right answer. Anybody? Okay, all the above are true, friends. All the above are true, because please note, in horizontally organized module, the focus is on product wise. For example, I gave you example in my last sessions that horizontally organized module relates to the single product. When in the previous years there was computerization, the bank used to have ALPM machines, automatic ledger posting machines, and product-wise activities were available. For example, we had to have one PC for saving accounts, one PC for current accounts. So it was product-wise. In vertically organized module, customer-wise data is available. We have customer ID and all the accounts are visible. For example, CBS. Then predominantly horizontal, in which there are lesser things, and predominantly particular organized in which there are most of the products are available customer wise. So the true answer to this question is all of the above are true. Question number 4. Which of the following is true? Retail banking is B2C approach. Corporate banking is B2B approach. Neither of the above is true. A and B both are true. Here I will clarify that what is B2C approach. B2C approach is basically, it is business to customer approach. It is business to customer approach. It is business to customer approach, and in corporate banking it is business to business approach. Neither of the above is true. A and B both are true. Anybody? Yes, friends? The right answer is D. A and B both are true. A and B both are true because retail banking focuses on business to customer approach directly. For example, retail banking we have saving deposits, we have car loans, we have housing loans, and that are provided to the customer directly. In corporate banking, it is B2B approach. That means it is from wholesale banking to retail banking, or from manufacturers to wholesalers. In corporate banking, it is manufacturers to wholesalers. So corporate banking is B2B approach and retail banking is B2C approach. So right answer is D. Next question. Under the concept of customer requirements, which of the following theory is appropriate? Many people have given the different theories, and you have to signify the concept of customer requirement theory. Who has given this? One is Darwin's theory of evolution. Is there the customer requirement theory? Malthusian theory of population. Abraham Maslow's theory of need hierarchy. Demand and supply theory of Alfred Marshall. Yes, friends, anyone? Customer requirement. It is very much in your syllabus. And
I think Maslow's, sir. Maslow's.
Yes, very good, very good. Abraham Maslow's theory of need hierarchy has given the concept of customer requirements, because the Darwin theory deals with the evolution, Malthusian theory relates with the population, and the Abraham Maslow's theory is for need hierarchy. So customer requirements are need based. Customer requirements are need based. That's why Abraham Maslow's theory of need hierarchy holds good here. And this is the right answer. Thank you, dear. Next question is, which of the following comes under the scheme of self-actualization? Which of the following comes under self-actualization? Basically, what is self-actualization? I will make you understand first. The system of self-actualization is basically different needs are there for different people. There are different needs for different people. Psychological needs, for example. Then there are security and safety needs. Then there are social needs. Then there are esteem needs. And there are self-actualization needs. So, anybody who can reply under which self-actualization needs of people can be capitalized. Yes, please.
Option D.
Yes. D. D is the correct answer. D, not correct answer.
Sir,
D is not correct answer.
D, personal loans.
It is C, friends. It is C. I will tell you why. It is C is the correct answer, because Under psychological needs, we require saving fund, which is very important, core saving fund, and accidental cover. These are psychological needs. Then we have security and safety needs. It is security. For security purpose, we need RD, FD, and LIC policies. For social needs, we require car loan and personal loan. These are social needs. Then esteem needs. Esteem needs are special term deposit and term insurance. These are esteem needs, higher level needs. Then self-actualization. Under self-actualization, we have senior citizen schemes like senior citizen term deposit, insurance plans, and senior citizens pensioner loans. So the right answer is C, pensioners loans. So under self-actualization needs, we have three items. That is senior citizen, term deposit can be taken under this, insurance plans can be taken under this, excepting life insurance. Then senior citizens, pensioner loans. So friends, right answer is C. Question number 7. What is not true for basic saving bank deposit account? This is a liability product. Friends, I told you that in retail banking, we deal with liability products and asset products. Under liability products, we have saving schemes, we have fixed deposits, we have current accounts, etc. And in liability, we have housing loan, car loans, personal loans, pensioner loans, etc. And other type of facilities are also provided by the bankers like credit cards, debit cards. But what is not true for basic saving bank deposit account, BSBDA, which has been started by Reserve Bank of India so that every person should have a banking facility? Yes, anybody? I will repeat the answers. Maximum of 4 withdrawals during a month, including ATM withdrawal, and no frill accounts have been replaced by BSBDA. BSBDA account holder is not eligible to open any other saving bank deposit account in that bank. If such account is opened on the basis of simplified KYC norms, the account would additionally be treated as small account called BSBDA small accounts. The aggregate of credits in financial year does not exceed rupees 1 lakh. Yes, friends, which is the correct answer?
C, option C.
Sir, option A.
No, friends. The BSBDA, the option which is not true in this is point D. I will tell you why. Because BSBDA is a facility given to all. Because these were, before this, there used to be no frill accounts, and BSBDA is considered as that each and every person requires the account. But if anybody is wanting to have account, but it is not KYC fulfilled, that we are calling small account. The definition for that is small account. In case of small accounts, it is different from BSBDA. In small accounts, total credit should be 1 lakh during the year. Balance should not exceed 50,000. Withdrawal per month is maximum 10,000, and there should be no foreign remittance. So friends, if we concentrate on BSBDA, then the option is not holding good, it's not true. But had it been small account, then D was correct. So friends, in BSBDA, there is no restriction for aggregate credits in the account. Is it clear?
Sir,
Okay,
is
friends.
there any... Hello?
Yes, please.
Sir, is there any restriction for number of times of withdrawal? That's nothing, no? 10,000 is the
Yes,
maximum amount.
in BSBDA there is no restriction, but in small accounts there is restriction only 4 withdrawals.
But practically, 4 withdrawals are allowed, sir. More than that, it is not allowed.
Only 4 withdrawals are allowed in small accounts. In BSBDA there is no restriction. Question number 8, friends. The interest on saving bank accounts is calculated on. You are all seeing that the system is automatically calculating the interest. Previously, we used to calculate manually. Ajay sir knows that we are calculating manually and the system. But when you are new people and system is calculating it automatically. So please give the right answer. Is it on monthly product basis, quarterly product basis, half yearly product basis, or daily product basis?
Daily product basis.
Yes, good. This is the right answer. When was it started? It was started in April 2010. The daily product basis system was started in April 2010, 2010. It is daily product basis, and different banks are giving credit in the accounts on quarterly basis. 9th question. What is overdue deposit? Overdue deposit is a fixed deposit. Overdue deposit is a short deposit. Overdue deposit is a demand deposit. Overdue deposit basically a fixed deposit. Yes, friends? Anyone? I will give you example. Overdue deposit, basically whenever there is a fixed deposit in a bank or a recurring deposit in a bank and the person does not come for renewal or he does not take the payment, it is called overdue deposit. Now you have to choose the right answer, whether this overdue deposit is a fixed deposit, whether this is a short deposit, whether it is a demand deposit, whether it was basically a fixed deposit. So what is true when account has become overdue? What is actually true?
C.
When you,
Yes, C is the correct answer. Somebody has said that C, because overdue deposit is a demand deposit. When the fixed deposit has become due, it is turned to overdue deposit and it is dealt as a current account. Deposit in a current account unless and until it is renewed again. So overdue deposit is a demand deposit. Right answer. Question number 10.
Sir, option D is also correct now.
Basically, yes, had the answer been overdue deposit was basically, but it is overdue deposit is basically. At present, it's not a fixed deposit now. So the right answer holds C as good. These are tricky questions which are called in exam. So question number 10. A time deposit receipt is a negotiable instrument. Which statement is true? A time deposit receipt is a negotiable instrument. Which statement is true? Yes, as per NI Act. No, as per RBI Act. No, as per NI Act. NI means Negotiable Instrument Act. Depends on the decision of the branch manager. Yes, friends?
Option C.
C, sir.
B.
Yes. Option C is correct. Because it is negotiable instrument, time deposit is not a negotiable instrument. Because what is the restriction in this fixed deposit? Why is it not a negotiable instrument? Because it does not fulfill the condition of negotiable instrument, and negotiable instrument should be payable to bearer or order. There should be fixed amount and it should be transferable. But you see, friends, fixed deposits are never transferable. They are paid only into the account of the person which is defined in the term deposit. So friends, that's why it is not a negotiable instrument as per NI Act. Very good reply. Now, friends, question number 11. The KYC policy has 4 important legs. Friends, KYC policy has basically 4 important points. But one of them is false out of the below one. Which one is false? First leg is
C, sir.
customer acceptance policy. risk categorization and monitoring of transactions, customer service and customer identification. The right answer has somebody tell as C, and that's correct because customer service is not the leg of the KYC policy. It has customer acceptance policy as defined by the banks. There is risk categorization. Second, third is monitoring of transactions. You can see in banks we are monitoring the transactions of people 10 lakh and above, or sometimes more credit coming in the account. These are monitored. And then customer identification is very important. When we are opening the account, we are identifying the customers. And risk categorization is there: high risk, medium risk, lower risk. High risk, if account is high risk, then you have to take KYC, again update the KYC within 2 years. If it is medium risk, then in 8 years, and accordingly if this is low risk, then in 10 years. So friends, likewise, this is the KYC policy. Question number 12. Which one of the following is outside the stages of new product development? Friends, in retail banking, it's very important that new products are developed. So one of the following outside the stages. Which stage does not deal with the new product development? First is new idea and idea screening, concept testing and risk analysis, risk categorization, business and market analysis, testing and commercialization. Yes, anybody?
C.
Yes, C is the correct answer because risk categorization happens only after the account is opened, and this is not a part of new product development. Very good, right answer. Question number 13. The product architecture components include. You see, the products are built as per certain architecture. Just as we are making the buildings, in the same way, we have product architecture. So, which are included in the product architecture? The generic product, the core product, the expected product adding additional features, the augmented product adding value in addition to features, the potential product, futuristic features in anticipation, all the above. So friends, what is the right answer? E is the right answer, yes, because in product architecture, generic product is the core product, because generic product means just like saving account. It's a core product because banks cannot live without saving account. Other products are development there, but generic product is the core product. Then expected product, adding additional features to the product. For example, there's a fixed deposit, we are adding RD to it and giving if a people opens the flexi RD, a normal RD, then flexi RD, or you are opening an RD account, then it is converted into fixed deposit. So adding additional features. Then augmented product, adding value in addition to features. Certain values are added. For example, different category types of current accounts are opened. Gold account are opened, gold current account, then a diamond current account. Adding facilities, that is, if a customer keeps a balance of 2 lakh, then we will give this facility. If a customer keeps a balance of 3 lakh, then we will give this facility. So adding value in addition to features. Then potential product means in future what we are going to do. So product architecture, all these are the part of product architecture. Question number 14. The credit information companies use 3 historical data files to build scores. Which one is wrong? Defaults on previous credit transactions, large number of loan accounts and credit cards, payment behavior, public payment history, searches and inquiries.
B, sir.
D.
Yes, correct answer is B. because the credit insurance companies are using three historical data. The three historical data are defaults, that is the historical data, defaults occur, payments behavior, it's a historical data, and searches and inquiries again a historical data. But having large number of loan accounts is not the part of historical data, or it is not considered as important to build the scores. There may be a number of accounts a customer is having, and they are all regular, then that will not be considered in a part of scoring. So in case of historical data, these three hold good. Question number 15. What are not the factors leading to negative credit score? Again, relates with this scoring data, in which we are having CIBIL data, we are taking data from Experian, we are taking data from Equifax and other these companies. So what are not the factors leading to negative credit score? Irregular loan requirements, or irregular loan repayments, defaulting as a guarantor, paying credit card payments in full rather than paying minimum amount due every time. A and B both.
D.
Option C.
C, sir.
C, sir.
Yes, C is the correct answer. Because if you can mold this question, okay, what are not the factors leading to negative credit score? You take this way. What are the factors leading to positive credit score? Tricky questions are asked. What are the factors leading to positive credit score? So positive score for this is, answer is C. So paying credit card payments in full rather than paying minimum amount due every time. Question number 16. Under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana PMAY, which was made effective from 17/6/2015, what is true regarding MIG2? All of you know, friends, that MIG2 have also become eligible since last 2 years, 2.5 years. So which category holds good out of this A, B, C, D option? Income criteria should be 12 lakhs to 18 lakhs, interest subsidy 3%, maximum carpet area 150 square meters. Income criteria 12 to 18 lakh, interest subsidy 3%, maximum carpet area 120 square meters. Income criteria 6 lakh to 12 lakh, interest subsidy 3%, maximum carpet area 150 square meters. Income criteria 9 lakh to 18 lakh, interest subsidy 3%, maximum carpet area 150 square meters. Yes, please. Friends, the right answer is A. Income should be 12 lakh to 18 lakh, interest subsidy 3%, and maximum carpet area 150 square meters. So far the MIG2 are concerned. All of you know that there are different groups. That is low income group, then MIG1, MIG2, like this are the groups. So MIG2 is also eligible. That means if a person is having income from 12 lakh to 18 lakhs, in which we also fall, you also fall, we can also avail, if we are having, if we want to make a house, we can also avail PMAY. The only issue is that the carpet area should not be more than 150 square meters. Question number 18. The Central Sector Interest Subsidy, CSIS, which is given in education, which is giving subsidy in education loans, is approved by Government of India, provides full interest subsidy. Which one is false? It is related to education loan, friends. Please note. Full interest subsidy is payable during the period of moratorium, that is course period plus 1 year. Second is full interest subsidy is payable during the period of education loan sanctioned or till it remains regular, because regular is very important, account should be regular. annual gross parental family income upper limit of rupees 4.5 lakh per year. Canara Bank is the nodal bank. So which one is wrong, friends? The wrong answer is B, friends, because full interest subsidy is payable during the period of education. It's wrong. Never, the interest subsidy is never paid till the period of education loan. It is only up to the moratorium period. So friends, the point number B is false. Is it okay, friends? Yes, please. Okay. Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, question number 19. The credit cards have a facility of free credit period. Credit cards are having free. Many of you may be enjoying the facility of credit cards. Usually between 20 days and 50 days are allowed. In one of the banks, say Blue Apple Bank, the facility is provided to its customers and billing cycle is 17th of every month. Billing cycle starts from 17th of every month. A customer purchased laptop on 29th of June 2021. For how many days the free credit will be available? Answers are on the screen. Please guess, or you can try mentally. 38 days, 50 days, 20 days, 36 days. Okay, friends, the right answer is 38 days, because you can see the billing cycle starts from 17th, and if a customer purchases on 29th of June, so 29th and 30th June, 2 days of the June and 16 days of the July, because on 17th the bill will be prepared. So 2 plus 16 is 18 days, and 20 days are given bonus to the customer, because total is 50 days, because the another cycle will again start on the 17th. So 18 plus 20, it is 38 days. So the right answer is A. You can practice more questions on this if you want. Question number 20. Demand drafts are not payable to bearer as it amounts to currency note. This will be violation of. You know, friends, demand draft is never payable to a bearer. It's always payable to order. If it is made payable to bearer, then there is violation. Under which section it is covered? Section 42 of the RBI Act, which relates to CRR, cash reserve ratio. Section 24 of Banking Regulation Act, which relates to SLR. Section 31 of the Reserve Bank of India Act, or actually it is Section 10 of Negotiable Instrument Act, which deals with payment in due course, because we have to make the payment. Is it covered in NI Act? Is it covered in Section 31 of RBI Act, or in BRA, Statutory Liquidity Ratio, SLR, or CRR? Yes, friends. Friends, it is covered in Section 31 of Reserve Bank of India, because it prohibits issuance of bill of exchange and bearer notes accepting Reserve Bank of India. Bearer notes cannot be paid except by Reserve Bank of India So demand draft being a note issued by bank, a check issued by a bank, it can never be bearer. It is violation as per section 31 of the RBI Act. You can go in details of section 31 of RBI Act. Question 21. If NEFT transactions are delayed beyond the prescribed time, are banks liable to pay any penal interest to the affected customer? If yes, then how much? So friends, very common question which we are daily dealing, NEFT and RTGS we are dealing daily in the branches. But if it is delayed due to any reason, have the banks to pay any penal interest, and what is the rate of interest? So what is the best choice? No, as the transactions are automatically settled in T+2 timings. P means business plus 2 days. Business plus 2 hours. Sorry, business plus 2 hours. Initiation of action plus 2 hours. Yes, the rate to be paid is at current RBI reverse repo rate. Yes, for delayed period, banks have to pay the penal interest. The rate of interest charged should be current RBI reverse repo plus 2%. Yes, at the rate of saving for deposit account, and at the rate charged to CC or OD account in which the amount was to be credited. Yes, at the rate of current RBI repo rate plus 2%. Yes, anybody?
Option D.
Option D is correct. Friends, some people are saying answer C. That is not true here, but that is true if the check is delayed for more than 14 days, then answer C holds good. In case of NEFT, the penal interest is charged at the rate of current RBI repo rate plus 2%. What is the repo rate, friends, at present? RBI repo rate, what is the repo rate? Yes, friends, please. The present repo is, I think, 4%, isn't it? 4 plus 2, so 6% will be charged. Question number 22. Which of the following is false in case of NACH? NACH. It stands for National Automated Clearing House. So we have to point out which is false. RTGS and NEFT are rolled through NACH for final credit to the beneficiary accounts as per the Payments and Settlement Act 2007. NACH system can be used for making bulk transactions towards distribution of subsidies, dividends, interest, salary, pension, etc., and bulk collections like telephones, electricity, insurance premiums, etc. NACH payments also supports financial inclusion measures initiated by Government of India. Yes, anybody, please.
B, sir.
Yes, please. Please.
B, sir.
B. Yes, B is false because RTGS and NEFT are not rolled through NACH. These are rolled by Reserve Bank of India directly, controlled by RBI. So NACH is not taking part in this. So the false point is B. Very good. Correct answer. Question number 23. Which of the following is not a fundamental ingredient of an effective marketing mix in retail banking? Friends, retail banking is very important. So in this case, what is the marketing mix? Which of the following is not a fundamental ingredient? Product and price, promotion and place, priority and potential, people and process. Yes, friends, anybody?
C, sir.
C, sir.
Option C.
The
Option-
answer, yes. Yes, it is true. C is correct because priority and potential are not the fundamental ingredient of the effective marketing mix. Product and price are important. Promotion and place are very important. People and process is also important. But priority and potential doesn't fall under the effective marketing mix in retail banking. You can note down that basically the main are in this are 7 items are required in this, that is product, then price, then promotion, then place, people, process, and physical evidence. Physical evidence is also important. So these points are related to the ingredients of effective marketing. Question number 24. In which stage of the marketing process does an organization answer questions like who, where, when, and how for the offering? Marketing under in marketing process, an organization asking who, where, when, and how. Marketing planning के अंदर, marketing controlling, is it marketing controlling or marketing analysis or marketing implementation?
D.
Yes, it is marketing implementation. Very good, right answer. In marketing implementation, we ask the questions that where, who we are providing product, where we are providing, when we are providing, and how we are offering. So marketing implementation is the right answer. Question 25. What is not true regarding star 99 hash service using unstructured supplementary services data? These services allows mobile banking transactions using basic feature mobile phone. There is no need to have mobile internet data facility for using this service. This can be accessed in 12 different languages, including Hindi and English. The upper limit is 3,000 per transaction. Yes, friends? The wrong answer is D, because the upper limit is 5,000 per transaction. Please note it. It may be a question. The upper limit is 5,000 per transaction. Question number 26. Which of the following are zero liability of the customer? Now, this is the customer's liability, which is part of retail banking. Which of the following are zero liability of the customer? Which statement is true? Contributory fraud, negligence, deficiency on the part of the bank, third party breach where the deficiency lies neither with the bank nor with the customer but lies elsewhere in the system, and the customer notifies the bank within 3 working days of happening of such transaction. Both A and B are true. Neither of the two are true. Yes, zero liability of the customer. Yes, please.
Option C.
Yes, both A and B are true because very good, right answer. Because in contributory fraud, negligence and deficiency on the part of bank, the customer is not having any liability. Again, in case of third party breach, there is deficiency neither with the bank nor with the customer, and he informs within 3 working days, then again the customer is not having any liability. But if he doesn't inform, then there may be some liability to the customer. So both A and B are true. Question number 27. The burden of proving customer liability in case of unauthorized electronic banking transactions shall lie on which of the following? The burden of providing customer liability in case of unauthorized electronic banking transaction. Some unauthorized electronic banking transaction has taken place, and who has to prove whether customer is liable? Either customer and bank both, as both are responsible, bank or DICGC up to 5 lakh as per latest changes?
Option A.
No, it is bank. Friends, the burden of proving customer liability lies with the bank. Bank has to prove that there was some unauthorized electronic transaction. He has given some OTP, shared some OTP, or he has shared some password. The burden of proving it lies with the bank, because bank has to show documents that the transaction has not happened as per banking. So the liability is with the bank. Question number 28. Which of the following related to direct selling agents are true? Direct selling agents are used by, I will tell you friends, we have discussed already, direct selling agents are used by private sector banks mostly. Although public sector banks have also started using this type of system. But what is, so that to increase their business. So what is true here? DSA are agencies appointed by Reserve Bank of India to source business by different banks for them on a fee basis. The KYC formalities for the business sourced by DNA is done by said agency. There is no reputational risk for the banks. A, B, C are false. Which one is true?
Option D.
Yes, option D, because none of the above is true. So A, B, C are false. Number D, yeah, answer number D is correct. Nice, nice, very good. Now, question number 29. Tie-ups are entered into banks. We have discussed previously, tie-ups are being done by banks. And for newcomers, also note please, friends, we are doing tie-ups for getting more business and earning more income and more business. And this is both way beneficial for bankers and these agencies as well. So, and for customer also. So tie-ups are entered into banks for bulk sale of assets. Which of the following is not covered? Home loan, pension loan, auto loan, education loans.
B.
Option B.
Pension loan.
Pension loans are not covered. Very good. That is the right answer. Question number 30. Assessment for builders or home developers under tie-up arrangement for loan requires following. Hence, when we are doing tie-ups, then we had, these are the things done at actual level or any centralized level. So, assessment for builders and home developers under tie-up arrangements for loan requires following. Which of them is false? Sound financial health. They should have sound financial health. They should, their track record of the developer and builder is to be checked. We have to point out which is false. Clear title of land with chain of details. Technical qualification of the builder or developer.
Option C.
No, title is to be seen, friends, because if the title is not correct, then bank will be in litigation. If sometimes title is not.
Option B, sir.
Yes, option D is the right answer, because technical qualification is not as much required. Because you can say why? Because in case of technical qualification, the proprietor or the entrepreneur can engage the technical person as employee, MBA or engineer can be employed. But sound financial health, track record and clear title are very important. So D is false. Question number 31. DSCR under financial health is calculated by following formula. This DSCR formula, why I have given here, because it is required in case of tie-up arrangements. If you are working somewhere and in retail banking, you are providing tie-up arrangements you have to calculate the DSCR for that developer. How you will calculate? Although you have done it in your this financial management also. So yes, which one holds good? Cash profit plus interest on term loan divided by interest on term loan. Cash profit plus interest on term loan divided by term loan installment. Cash profit plus term loan installment divided by interest on term loan plus term loan installments payable during the year. Cash profit plus interest on term loan for the year divided by interest on term loan plus term loan installments payable during the year.
D, last one, sir. D.
D is the correct answer, because in case of debt service coverage ratio, we have to see that what are his total income. Cash profit includes profit after tax plus depreciation plus interest on term loan, which is paid, which is an expenditure. So it is added and divided by which what are the how it is served. Interest on term loan is to be paid and term loan installment is to be paid. So DSCR is calculated by the option D. Right answer, sir. Question number 32. What are the main objectives of CRM? CRM, customer relationship management. Very important topic, because banks are focusing on CRM. What are the main objectives of CRM? Increase fee-based income. Is it the main objective? Capture details of prospective or existing customers in a systematic manner. Increase in lead conversion ratios, as there are more channels now. D and C are correct. Yes, friends, D is the correct answer. Very nice. D is the correct answer. Question number 33. Which of the following does not fall under the stages of CRM, customer relationship management? There are certain stages of CRM. How CRM is created, we have discussed. But for newcomers, I will again try to clarify that under CRM, we have to take the data of the customers. We have to collect the data and then perform the different actions for them. Then we have to take the data, then we have to see which product is required by which customer, then it is sent to the HO, where the different divisions are dealing with that type of products, and then final product is developed. So in these stages of CRM, identification of customers, is it necessary? Which one does not fall under CRM? Identification of customers, classification of customers and contacting, 180-degree view through feedback, SMS, reviews, etc. Customization of bank products as per identification.
D, sir.
Right answer is a C, because in this case it is 360-degree view should be there through feedback, SMS, because in CRM we need to understand all the requirements of the customer. So in case of CRM, please note it is 360-degree view through feedback, SMS, reviews, etc. So question number 33, right answer is C, because this does not fall under the stage of CRM. The right answer should have been 360-degree view. What are the benefits of CRM? What are the benefits of CRM? Storing client data and understanding the client's requirements. Customer relationship management ke andar, in this, are we storing the data? Establishing close personal relationship with customers, friendly behavior with clients, all of the above.
D.
The right answer is, friends, D, because in CRM all these are involved. Because if we are not behaving correctly with the customers, C1, then still we will not be having a good customer base. So customer relationship management, it is CRM, customer relation. We have to maintain the relations. So friendly behavior is also important. Establishing close personal relationship with customer is also important. And storing clients' data is also important. Personal relation does not mean that we are calling all the people to our home. Not that, but we should let them feel that they are very important for us. So that's why word personal relationship with customers. Regarding BCSBI, which one is false? BCSBI is very important because it is the one of the agencies that is playing part for our retail business. So it stands for Banking Codes and Standards Board of India. It is registered under Companies Act 1956, updated in Companies Act 2013. It is registered under Societies Act 1860. It was set up by the collective efforts of RBI and banks.
B, sir.
Yes, the correct answer is B, because B is false. It is not registered under Companies Act. It is registered under Societies Act. And BCSBI, Banking Codes and Standards Board of India, is an agency which has been developed by RBI and banks to look after the various standards of the banks, customer service providing, then any complaints, all these things, and different types of information being shared with the customers. All these things are covered under BCSBI. Question number 36. The main components of member banks, the main commitments of member banks to BCSBI are follows. Which one of them is wrong? So there are some commitments which member banks has to make to BCSBI. But one of the below answers is wrong. Right to better customer service, right to privacy, right to fair treatment, transparency and honest dealing, right to grievance, redressal and compensation.
B.
C, sir.
Eh? No, the right here, the option which is wrong is A. Right to better customer service is not the commitment. It is the part of the bank that we have to provide better customer service. It is not the commitment with the BCSBI. Right? It is not a right. Although they are telling that we should provide customer service, but it is not a right to better customer service. It is not the commitment under BCSBI. Under commitment, we have right to privacy. Is to be kept private anything of the customer. We have to give fair treatment. Fair treatment that we have to not give any wrong treatment to the customer, or we have not to do any fraud with the customer. So fair treatment, transparency, clarity, and honest dealing. Right to grievance, redressal. Any complaint of the customer is to be seen. They have the right, and compensation is to be paid. So these are the commitments of the member banks to BCSBI. The customer, so far customer service is concerned, it is the part of the banking job. But in deficiency in customer service, that is covered, definitely covered under the commitments. It should not be, deficiency should not be there in the customer service. That will be covered under the grievance, redressal and compensation.
Sir, excuse me, what is fair treatment?
Yes, please. Yes.
Sir, what is the fair treatment?
Fair treatment is basically that we should not give them any this type of treatment that they are coming and we are just rebuking them. We are not, they need some fixed deposit and we are giving them insurance product wrong. So fair treatment should be there. There should be, there should not be any type of this hidden things. That's basically fair treatment. Treatment should be fair. Whatever we are doing, that should be fair. And not we are hiding certain things and providing them different type of scheme. Telling them that we are giving you fixed deposit of the bank, but giving you fixed deposit of some insurance company or some other product or term insurance, etc. So fair treatment. There should be fair treatment.
So this is fair or fair?
Eh?
Sir, is it fair or fair?
Yeah, acha, oh, word spellings are wrong. Fair, F-A-I-R, fair, sorry. F-A-I-R, please correct it. F-A-I-R, it should be F-A-I-R. Yes, it's correct. This is a clerical mistake. Please correct it. Question number 37. A joint account has been opened with mandate either or survivor. A joint account has been opened with mandate either or survivor with nomination in the name of their son. One of the joint holder dies. The payment will be made to whom to consider it as a full discharge. Yes, friends, it's a joint account and either or survivor, nomination is there. One person dies, to whom payment should be made. Survivor and the nominee, who is the son. Survivor only, nominee only, any one of the above, as there are both mandates, either or survivor and nomination.
Survivor, sir.
Survivor, sir.
Yes, the right answer is survivor B, because nominee only comes in the picture if both the account holders are no more. So nominee will not come into the picture as long as the other person is alive. Very good, right answer. Question number 38. In banking technology software, now we are coming to technology. We have come to technology topic. Question from banking technology. In banking technology, software is developed mainly to capture the following type of information. Which of them is not correct? In banking technology, we are compiling certain things, but one thing is not covered in this. Which one of this is the correct answer? Static information and updated information, transaction information, analytics and alerts, direction of respective banks as decided by the board, discretion of respective banks as decided by the board. Both A and B are correct. You have to reply the false answer out of these four.
Option D.
And it is basically the right answer is C, because discretion of respective banks as decided by board is not there. It is necessary that static information is to be given and transaction information and analytics and alerts all are to be given as per the directions of the controlling bank, Reserve Bank of India. Static information is available in the form of name, date of birth, etc. And updated information is, for example, income has increased or KYC is to be updated. Then transaction information always is to be maintained. Analytics is to be done, that what is happening in the account. And alerts are to be different type of alerts are coming to bank that person has withdrawn the money, or in particular account more money has been deposited. That alert is coming to the bank IT team at circle office, which are looking towards the alerts. But it cannot be said that is the discretion of respective banks. They cannot hide this. So static information and updated information is very important. Transaction information is important. Analytics and alerts are important. So the right answer to this is that C does not hold good. Both A and B are correct. So C is not correct. Question number 39. Indian banking community under cloud computing. You know that cloud computing is of much talk these days. Three fundamental services, which of them is wrong? These are providing three fundamental services. Cloud computing are providing three fundamental services. So which of them is wrong? Which is not being provided by the Indian banking community under cloud computing? Technology as a service, platform as a service, software as a service through internet, IaaS, infrastructure as a service? Yes, please, anyone?
B, sir.
Friend, it is please, it is 39A. Technology as a service is covered in infrastructure as a service. So technology as a service is not the part of Indian banking community cloud computing. If you go through the details of this Indian banking under cloud community clouding, you will find that it is only PaaS, SaaS, and IaaS, not TaaS. So please note that the wrong answer is A. Question number 40. Technology and retail banking are, very simple question, but it is, you will see that technology and retail banking are inseparable, separable, complementary, and supplementary. Nowadays, you have to give the correct answer. Technology and retail banking are,
C.
friends, basically, yes, you are right in saying that they are complementary, or we can say supplementary, they are but in these days, it is inseparable. If it comes in the examination, please give the right reply as inseparable. Technology and retail banking cannot live without it, because you can see in retail banking we are having internet banking, we are having mobile banking. So it is not complementary or supplementary, because we cannot live without these facilities nowadays. So please note, it is inseparable these days. The exact word is inseparable for technology and retail banking. Question number 41. Which of the following is not true regarding securitization? Friends, securitization I will discuss, but please first give the answer to this question. There are different types of securitizations. So let you see, securitization refers to sale of property under Surface I. Surface I is securitization and reconstruction of financial assets and enforcement of security
A
interests.
only.
It refers to the process of converting debt, usually illiquid assets, into securities. These are bought and sold in the financial markets. It redistributes credit risk away from originators to a wide spectrum of investors who can bear the risk. Yes, somebody had given the answer, please. Please, I could not listen. Right, A is the correct answer, because securitization is not related to Surface I. Surface I is detailed, we go in the Surface I, but securitization relates to a process in which a bank is having different types of assets, and these assets are grouped together and sold in the market for increasing their, they are selling that and getting the liquidity. By that process, they are increasing their liquidity and also sharing their risk, because that risk will be taken by the investor who is investing in those securities, who is investing in those assets. So friends, A is wrong. Question number 42. What is true regarding securitization of NPA? Now, again related to this securitization of NPA. If an account is NPA, then what holds good? So we have to give the true answer. With the approval of board, selling to ARC, asset reconstruction companies, or NBFCs, non-banking financial companies, is permitted, and lenders can receive security receipts or pass-through certificates. I will discuss what are these. Sale of financial assets to ARC shall be classified as investments in the books of lenders. PTC is like bonds and debentures that may be issued by banks and other companies to investors. So which one of these is true so far the securitization of NPA is concerned?
All are true, sir.
Yes, all are true, friends. Very nice. All are true, but to newcomers who are in our group, I will just share that this synchronization process of NPA board approval is required definitely, because they have to sell the assets to ARC or some other company. Then PTC, what is PTC? PTC is basically pass-through certificates. These are the certificates passed on to investors in which the interest component they can earn from the financial institution in which the particular customer has invested. So pass-through certificate are basically interest certificates which are given to them. So friends, all are true in this case. Question number 43. As per trends in retailing, entry of banks into insurance business is allowed with risk participation on the following conditions. Which one is false? Retail banking, insurance business is also taking part, but which banks cannot participate? Basically, the what is the false answer? Net worth of the bank should not be less than 1,000 crore. CRAR of the bank should not be less than 10%. Net NPA should not be more than 4%. Should have net profit for last 3 continuous years. Yes, friends, which one is false? Last time I had discussed this question in detail, but for newcomers, please note the wrong answer is C, because the net NPA should not be more than 3%. Other conditions hold good. So the wrong answer is C. Question number 14. Which of the following is a depository? Friends, all of you may be dealing in shares these days. So depository is a type of electronic formation in which the securities are kept. So there are different securities and different depositories. So you have to reply which of the following is a depository. NSDL is a depository. CDSL is a depository. NPIC is a depository. Both A and B are true. Yes, friends?
E, sir.
Huh?
E.
Both A and B are true.
E, yes, E is the right, because NPCI is National Payment Corporation of India. It is not a depository. NSDL is a depository. CDSL is a Central Depository Services Securities is a depository. NSDL, there are 16 digits in it. It starts with IN and 14 numeric digits. And CDSL, it is also a 16-digit number, but all the 16 digits are numeric. Question number 45. In DMAT electronic form of securities, what is not true? In DMAT, again, electronic form of securities, what is not true? More than one account can be opened either with existing depository participant or with different depository participants. Friends, here I will clarify, DP is any of the bank who is dealing with this securities is a depository participant to whom RBI has allowed. So depository participant, all banks are depository participants, or all financial institutions are depository participants. Account can be opened jointly by maximum 3 holders, 1 main holder and 2 joint holders. Demat account cannot be opened on either or survivor basis. Demat account can be opened on either or survivor basis as per discretion of beneficiary.
D, sir, last one.
Yes, Demat account cannot be opened on either or survivor basis, because under this Demat, there is a strict restriction that Demat account cannot be opened on either or survivor basis. Although joint account can be opened, but it is not payable to either or survivor. It is payable to all of them. And if they are not, any one of them die or this other thing happens, then it is decided as per nominations or as per the claim cases. But there is no option of either or survivor in this. Question number 46. The FSI Act 2002 can be initiated in following cases. Now this SARFAESI relates to the recovery of loans. We have come to the recovery side now. Securitization and reconstruction of financial assets and enforcement of Security Interest Act 2002 can be initiated in following case, except classified as NPA, outstanding more than 1 lakh, outstanding should be 20% or above of principal, not applicable on agricultural land. In all the 4 cases, it can be initiated, but one case is there, it cannot be initiated. Yes, anybody? The right answer, friends, is C, because outstanding should be 20% or above of principal and interest. So interest component is not covered here. That's why C is the right answer. It should be principal and interest, 20% of principal and interest. Question number 47. If borrower fails to comply demand notice within stipulated time, the secured creditor can take recourse to any measure specified therein to recover the outstanding dues as per section dash of the following. Friends, as you know, in SARFAESI action, we give different types of notices, and the bank can itself take the possession of the property and then sell it. But what is the measure? What is the section under which the creditor can take such measures to recover the outstanding dues? In which section it is covered?
13.2, sir.
13.2 is basically demand notice. So demand notice is covered in 32, but he can take further measures. Any measure, he can sell the property, he can take the possession of the property. That is basically covered in section 13.4 of the Act. 13.2 is demand notice. So it is covered in section 13.4 of the Act, and section 14 relates to the permission to be taken from district magistrate, DM, yeah, SDM. Section 14 relates to permission, taking of permission. Section 13.4 is the right answer in this case. Section 32 deals with the demand notice. Question number 48. The borrower, including the tenant in the mortgage property, you see, tenant is living in the mortgage property, a house. If aggrieved by any one of the measures, and the bank has taken the measure, either the tenant is aggrieved or the borrower is aggrieved, taken by the secured creditor, any step has been taken by the secured creditor for taking possession of the security, may make an application to DRT having jurisdiction within. So this tenant and borrower can make the application that bank has proceeded against me wrongly. What is the timelines? Is it 45 days from the date on which such measures are taken? 30 days from the date on which such measures are taken? 45 days from the date on which DRT issues such orders? 30 days from the date on which DRT issues such orders? Friends, the right answer is A. It is 45 days from the date on which such measures are taken. Such measures are taken means as soon as the bank has issued the notice, the customer should or the tenant should immediately file the complaint with DRT within 45 days. So the right answer is A. Had it been DRAT, then it should have been 30 days. In case of DRT, it is 45 days. Question number 49. Default in repayment of credit cards and personal loans is mainly due to. What are the reasons why credit cards and personal loans come under default? Answer A. Genuine default due to reasons beyond the borrower's control. Willful defaults where the default is intentional. Any one of the above, both of the above.
Any one of them.
Any one of the above. Yes, right answer. Very good. This is the right answer. Any one of the above, because generally we give the answer both of the above. But here in this case is any one of the, because either A can happen or B can happen. So right answer, very good. Thank you very much. Right answer. Question number 50. Which of the following statement is not appropriate in respect of securitization process? Again, here it has come securitization process. It is not recovery wala securitization. It is securitization, that is selling of assets. Which of the following statement is not appropriate in respect of securitization process, selling of assets process? The lender first selects the assets they want to securitize. The issuer, special purpose vehicle, SPV, makes payments to the lender for the loans securitized. The assets are converted into pool of securities by the lender for the purpose of issuing pass-through certificates. The pass-through certificates are sold to other investors who are willing to invest.
C, sir, C.
Very nice, very nice. This is the right answer, because basically you see why C is not the appropriate one. Because the assets are converted into pool of securities by lender, and the main purpose is not to issue the pass-through codes. Their main purpose is to collect the liquidity and also to transfer the risk. But pass-through certificate is a part that when all things happen, they are given the interest certificates or pass-through certificates. So right answer is C. So this is all, friends, 50 questions. Hope all of you have enjoyed it. I have tried my best to collect the information from all the topics. So any query? I handing over to Ajayan sir.
Renaji, thank you very much for selecting very, very important questions.
Thank you, sir.
Can you share this with the answers tomorrow, sir, to me, so that I can share with the candidates?
Definitely, sir. Definitely, I will share it tomorrow, sir.
Tomorrow with the answers, okay?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Any feedback from the participants, please? It will be good if you can give some feedback on this. Devaprasad, Ramesh.
Have they enjoyed the session, sir? I have tried to cover all the topics with important questions.
See, I am requesting them to come forward and give
Yes.
their views. Jasna, Jayanti, Sri Gururaja,
It's very
Ramesh.
useful, sir.
Very useful one, sir.
Good. Thank you all having participated. I will be sharing the recording tomorrow, and also once I get the PPT, I will
Sir,
share.